Okay, midday. Thought, hey, kids are in school. He's working. Make a tutorial. Whew. So, where are we? What are we doing? I have no idea. So, I wrote down a few things. I'm going to try to cover the AI is chasing, and we should get it to stop if you run away and hide or something. I also want to bring in a hiding system. We should adjust the AI speed and bringing in a patrolling system. The AI speed is a relatively easy thing, so we can literally just go into our effects and set agent maximum speed. You know, maybe he's got a walking speed of 2. You know, when he's alerted, I don't know, maybe 2.5. When he's chasing, maybe it goes to like 4.5. That's pretty much all that is. A pretty simple thing. Alright, and you can see it's kind of wandering around. And if he goes in the chase, he should be moving much. Not that 4.5 is fast. Where's the little AI guy? And there he is, 4.5. Right, so maybe we should up that, make it look like he's going quicker. Let's go 6. 6 is probably a decent number anyways. Well, even 6. I mean, I guess in reality our player is going 10. So maybe we should go like 8 or 9 with the AI. Let's go 9. Alright, so with that, I don't know why I was zoomed in like that. Me being silly, I suppose. Let's bring this in. I think it's not quite that far. Something like closer like that. Okay. So let's do a hiding effect. Let's create a object. And we're just gonna stuff this along somewhere. We're going to make it a fair bit bigger. Something like that. We're going to make it a trigger. And we also don't want some silly box looking thing. I mean, a lot of times you'd be using, now who knows, closets and stuff like that to hide into. I don't know. Hide material. Just make just something to make this stand out a bit. Give ourselves an area. Let's give it ourselves a transparent, and let's go yellow. And I'm gonna bring this way down. And you know, I should give it some emission. I think. Obviously way too much. I guess that's probably pretty good. And we have this now hidden thing. We can stuff it anywhere. We're gonna hide. You know what? Let's do this. Let's move it up here. You can hide along this wall. There we go. There's our hidden trigger. Might be a little wide maybe, I don't know, but it is fine. So really, what is it going to do? Now we could do it on the site layer, but then we might screw things up. So okay, there's a key thing I probably haven't mentioned yet for all your stuff, and this goes well beyond AI, and that is, what is this thing? And that is, you want to build things in a scalable manner. So what I mean by that is, if you look at our AI has stats, right? And they have health. Now, we're going to have to extend on that a great deal, no doubt. There's not much there. But if that's the format I'm going to use for information on my units, I want to make sure I'm using that same format on everything. And that helps make things much more scalable. So all my AI, whether maybe you're making like an RPG, and you have like a little goblin or something like that, but you have a big dragon boss. All the behaviors can be different and everything, the effects and stuff, and all sorts of stuff. But there's certain things you want the same, right? The method on how you deliver the damage to them, right? The methods you want to get information to them or from them, give them information, all that stuff, you want a system that's the same. And I'll maintain that same system also for the player, right? Like, our player will also have an FSM called stats that has the same functionality, and so forth. Just keep that in mind. So anyways, with that said, let's make an FSM called hide. So we have a hiding FSM, and all I'm going to do is just do a trigger event, and it's going to be on trigger enter. We can probably give this thing a tag. We'll call this a hider. We'll just call it hide maybe, and I can use that now, and we're just going to hide. And then I'm just going to copy that whole state, paste it here. We go hide, and over here we'll go unhide. And just go back. And this one will be on trigger exit. So there we go. That's literally all that's going to be, other than I need to do one little piece of information in there. Okay, so that's hide. So our little player, I can go to my FSM here, and we zip over, and we can see we enter it and we exit it. We have this nice little system of that. Alright, so what's that going to do? Well, you know what? We're on a site layer, and there's going to be numerous ways to do this. Like, you could build this straight into the site FSMs on AIs and run variables on your player or whatever. In this case, I think all I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new layer. Oh, I can use this one called invisible. How convenient. So we're going to set layer of our site object, which is ourselves, to invisible. And then over here we're going to set it to site. I want this to go up top just because that's the way I like it. I like it a lot. So on the basic stance of that, if I'm sitting in here, if Apparently I screwed something up. Oh, I did. I totally did. Totally messed that up. That isn't our owner. That is our site object there. Right, so, and I also had this swapped around. Okay, so if we're in here, we're invisible. If we're not in here, we are site layer. There we go. So we're in our default state, which is site layer. Life is grand. I walk into here. This guy flops over. We should see him now on the invisible layer. If I take the AI, I force him up here. He can't see me. But if I leave, he can see me. Ah. Right, so now we need a way to get him to stop chasing us whenever we do stuff like that, or if we get too far away. And really all that is, at that point in time, because I mean right now we have a very simple chase state right now, and this will probably be turned into a template at some point in time, but for now all we're going to do is so we have our scene target, and we're going to run we'll take this guy, we're going to put him up here, and we could probably keep that as there. We don't want any kind of events here, and we're just going to move this down to the bottom. Right, so a bool test, or game object is null. So essentially, I mean, if we're being chased, this guy should always be full. If he can't see us, if this thing's come null, then we've lost target. So this needs to be every frame, because losing target, we're going to have to go do something, which will probably end up being like a search state. But there's some other things that need to go with that as well. Right, so for example, we come zipping up here, we get seen, he's chasing us, and even if I zip down here, pop in, capsule is still seen. That isn't running anymore. Oh, right. It's not going to run. So, okay, we need to fix that up. We do. So, because over here we have it where if it's a pass, if we've seen the target, we load it and finish, right? So, at this stage in the game, no, we don't want to do that either, because we're using an array here, if I remember right. Yeah, potential site objects. All right, so if it's a pass, we need a way to not send this event. So let's simply just add a bool, and let's just do a bool test. And we'll make a bool called looping, and if it's true or false, we can just do, well, we'll use pass or fail. We've already got those events in here, we might as well make use of them. So let's bring this guy down here. So if looping is true, we're not going to necessarily end it. We don't want to end it. We can do this. That's fine, but we got to just come back up there based on this. So I mean, if it's fail for not looping, let's end it. If so, let's just keep looping around. So looping needs to be a input. So now we go into here, we go into here, and now we can see looping. This guy can loop. So he'll just run now forever until we tell him to more or less stop. Right, and if we go and capsule, so he's not. We need a way to clear that. Site layer. Invisible. Yes. All right. So we need to zero that array. Or so. Because ultimately, really, we have the test array, we go in. The next frame comes over here, we do the wait, and we go back. So at this point in time, really, when we come back here, when we're on our way back, we really need to array. We shouldn't have to resize the array, though. That should automatically just do that. I am pretty sure. I think that scene target, we need to do something with that. I had issues with that, I think, in the last video. Stupid scene targets. How dare you mess me up. Alright, so we're here. We got to go into the site. Okay, so we're in here. Go into the site. Yeah, so he's resizing. That's still 0. Yeah, see, I don't think that matters. The only thing that really matters is if there is none, if potential targets is none. I think that's really that's going to be the key. Isn't to resize it. It's going to be we have tested it. We've come along over here. Really, at this stage in the game, what we need to do is get the length. Which, you know, that action should have that built in. No, it doesn't. Okay, so we'll just get the length. Array length. So, I mean, if this length, and in compare, make sure I put it underneath, if the length is equal to 0, reset scene. If it's greater, just finish. Alright, because then we can just go here. So if we're going to reset scene, let's just come along like this. So it's kind of like an additional, you go down there. Let's set game object, scene target to null. That should be fine. All right, so more or less all we're really adding in between there, we do our cycle. So we do an overlap. We're going to try to find whatever the hell we can get. If we hit something, we run through all our filters, right? And all that stuff's fun and dandy. So if we don't hit something, we need to see this array length. And if it's 0, we're going to set this guy to null. If it's not 0, and the reason why you want that is because we have this looping thing here as well. Because you could loop, and you're going to go through and you're going to build an array up. It does a cycle and you come up. So you potentially have things in this array here, but you can't see them anymore here. I don't know. That might zero itself out. No, because it wouldn't zero itself out. Yeah, whatever. This will work. Let's just take a look. That's the easiest thing to do. But ultimately, what we're saying is that if you don't see something, you know, set your target to none, right? And it's still being a pain in the ass. Seeing target. Right, so his length is still 1, so the array is not resetting. So we do need to resize that array. All right, I didn't think we had to. It must be on the array list overlap sphere that it does that for you automatically. So let's, well, you know what, if that's the case, then when we're coming back, yeah, so now, yeah, so when we are going back, we need to array resize so that it is 0 before we go in. Now that should be a little more dependable. Right, because we get seen, we go running, we come along here, yeah, see, now it's zeroed out, he goes into his I've lost target state, which right now does nothing. Absolutely fuck all. So we need to figure that out. So let's add a new effect. Right, because we have alerted, maybe we should have a confused. Right, I'm just going to copy this guy over, and maybe the speed, he'll be a little faster still, we'll go 3.5, and maybe we'll use a different expression so we can see it. Something for confused, that works. Let's go something like that. You know what, and let's not deactivate these things anymore. Let's just keep them active. See them a little better. Alright, so we have a confused thing that's going to happen. So just like these ones, let's send that off to confused so that part happens. Alright, so there's our main chase. Let's just bring this guy over here. So what should happen? Well, if he's confused because he's lost the target, the first thing he's going to want to do is agent reset path and agent set destination. So he should probably go to, which, I mean, you could also put like a little delay in there too. It'd be kind of a neat effect. We're going to need a last position. Actually, let's just use this guy, sus position. Right, so what is that? Because if we're, and this is where here, we're going to be gathering that information. Let's get position every frame above the null of our scene target, and this can now be our sus position every frame, constantly, all the time. So we have a position of the thing we're chasing. We're not using it in this state, at least not right now. We're just collecting that information. If something happens and we go in here, We don't have the target anymore because that's gone null, but we have the position. So we can go to the position. All right, so now let's get distance. Get distance 2, not get distance 1. And we're going to go to our sus position. And by that, I don't mean there, I mean here to sus position here. So now we have distance to target, float compare, because we're going to want to compare when we have arrived to that position. And we're going to want to open this up a little bit. Let's go with, I don't know, 3.5, maybe even 4 every frame. So once we're less than that, let's start searching. Right, so here, like this thing, we have the alerted, and it does the chase the alert and finish, and it comes down here and it says, okay, we're going to this thing, and he does sight as he travels. Down here he's still doing the sight, and he's doing the wander, and that's kind of more of our search. We could almost make a new effect like he's doing something, but we're just going to drag it down here. This is our searching state, which is just a wander action. Right, so there we have that. So the other thing we're going to need, like these ones, are our 2 sight systems, because while we've lost the target and we're moving towards this position, there's a chance that we see targets. Right, and if we're alerted, we can go there. If we're chasing, we can go there. So now we have alerted, lost, hearing, and chase. And we can hide. Now, we always could throw another special sight on our AI to detect hidden and just make it a really short thing. Right, so here we come along and he's like, wait a minute, something's wrong. And apparently he's just going to sit there for a while. He has lost target. So he sent the effect, he said that, and okay, so those two do not like being in that same situation, which is fine. It's not a big deal. We'll just make another state up here, and this guy can actually come down here, and we will just reset path up there. You know what, let's send this guy up here too. Then let's put a tiny weight. And for this, if you don't really want the weight, you can just use a next frame event, but I think a little weight will be kind of a nicer feel. And then we could do this stuff. So the other thing we're going to need is, if we've lost sight while we're chasing though, and not just the ways of, we are hiding, but what if we've gone around corners or we've gotten too far away? So the AI is now searching or something. Let's bring this up so we can see what he's doing. Hey, you. Right. Now, I don't know. I think you should... This little position and stuff like that, I think we should open that up a bit, and we should drop his speed down some more. Right? Like, because we can take this and go... Let's go 0.75, and then take this distance and go even 6. Kind of a bigger search area. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Sure. And you know what? totally forgot to change that to confused. So you know what, that's why his expression didn't change or his speed. So that's lovely of me. Glad I'm forgetting everything. So he's seen us. We go into here and he's like, wait a minute. What the hell? Where'd that guy go? He was here. He's thinking about it. So you know, I have those that long period of his delays. And that's really because, I mean, at that point in time, you'd probably be doing animations. You don't have to. I mean, you can bring that down and go with like a 2-second thing. Either or. Entirely your own preference. Oh yeah, so that's all working. So what's the other thing? Let's bring this down a little bit. Is during this chase. So here we have this. Now, I am going to test something because I would have thought this would have worked. Let's take his speed down to 1. That should make him really easy to get away from. Like really easy. If I can't get away from someone going to speed of 1, something freaking wrong. And I'm going to speed of 10. I'm going roughly 10 times the speed of him when he's chasing. Not right now. Right? Because I mean here we have... Oh yeah, see, it does work. Okay, so that's good. So we don't even have to do anything there, because if we just happen to get away long enough, then we have something. Now we could add on to that. Right? You can totally add on to that. If we wanted to, because we could in here run another template where we're firing a raycast at him, and if the raycast isn't hitting, so this would be in a template, we'd run a timer. Once the timer hits a certain point, we'd fire off our lost target event. So you could have a bit of an occlusion thing in there. I don't know if we'll bother putting that in. So let's put in a quick patrol system if the video isn't too long. Okay, we'll have a bit of time. So I don't know if we'll finish it, but we can get it started. Patrol wise, like I said, AI and everything else, you want it to be universal. Once you prefab your AI, you should be able to drop it in any of your scenes if your scene is set up, and your AI should just function in it just nicely. That will help with scalability. If I build the AI with a patrol system that is, you know, dictated just to this AI, just in this scene, that isn't scalable. So if I want to build numerous levels, numerous AIs, various things, now I'm fucking with everything. Stupid. So we're going to create we'll even call it world info. How about that? In it, we're going to have an FSM. We can just even call this thing a manager. In that, let's get owner. New global, let's call him the world info. There we go. So what's going to be in world info? Well, let's zero him because I don't like things with funny numbers. Funny numbers scare me. We want more or less a system where I can, let's say this is patrol 1, and he can also sit right at 0. He doesn't need to be anywhere else. Inside that, I am going to grab spheres, and there's our spheres. So I am going to duplicate these and put them in a bit of a path, such as here to here. And the more you put in, the smoother things will look. And you can branch paths, or you can make alternate points too, and look at seeing how that works. So there we have a whole bunch of spheres. And in case I need to modify them later, I'm just going to disable that. I don't need... No, okay, whatever. We'll keep that anyways. It's not going to hurt us. But we don't need any kind of colliders. Get rid of those. We don't want these actually to affect us in any way. So there's our patrol point. I can even child that here. So up here, we are going to say array list proxy. Let's call this patrol 1. Maybe on each map we'd have 3 patrol roads. So all our AI would know we can choose one of 3, for example. Again, you could also make those references part of an array inside the manager in a string using the name, and then you could have as many flexible patrol points as you want, but we won't get into that. So all we want to do, let's just get out of that state. We don't want to use the start state. Start states are for losers. Let's do array list get child. Children of game object. And we're just going to pinpoint our little this guy here. And the array list we're going to use is patrol 1. There we go. So if I hit play, we should have a whole bunch of objects populate this silly array. There we go. And they're in order. Perfect. That's why I placed them in that specific order. So, AI. Let's build an FSM real quick. Let's make this one patrol, so he'll be a template. So all we're going to do, if we're going to go into a patrol, is we are going to, I like to do new states when I start FSMs. I don't know why. Maybe this is just me. This could be insanity. I don't like using the start state unless I specifically want to use the start state. So, what are we going to do? Let's do array list. Do we have the nearest action? Because that will just make life easy. Get closest game object. Perfect. So we're going to find the closest game object from the global of world info, and he has a reference called patrol 1. Like I said, now this actually could be a variable, and the distance from ourselves, so we need to get owner. We're not going to store ourselves in any kind of global. We just want ourselves. We'll call ourselves a unit. So we're from unit. We don't need that. We don't need this every frame, and we do need closest game object is going to be our. We'll call it a mark. Okay, so now that we have that, we should do the index too, I suppose. We now want to array list get next, and we're going to go from that same guy. I guess we don't have to do this part quite yet. And start index. We're going to use a variable called start. And loop. And done. And type game object. That guy, I will actually use mark there too. Okay, so here we're going to find our closest unit. And then I am going to agent set destination. You could use the game object. Maybe I will, just for simplicity. Setting the agent destination as a game object in comparison to the position is more costly performance-wise. In this particular situation, it's not like we have 500 AI, so it's not that big of a deal. But really, if you wanted to be a little more accurate, use get position, because that mark isn't going to move, and then just set agent destination. Now you're just using the two calls compared to set agent destination as game object and select rebuild or recalculate the nav mesh. Okay, so we're going to set that there. Now all we're going to do is get distance 2. So our distance of ourselves, you can even use your variable of unit if you want, to the mark, and that's going to be distance. Float compare. And we'll move that to the bottom. And if distance is, say, less than 2.5, so now keep in mind that's going to take this into consideration. Well, it doesn't take it into consideration, so you need to take it into consideration. If this is 3 and this is 2, this will never fire off, or virtually never. So if we're less, we need to get the next spot. Right? So we get the next mark. We go down here. We're going to start our index. We're going to loop. And all we're going to do is this exact same stuff. You know what? We can probably actually just do that. Probably don't even need... No, we can't do that. Okay, let's just copy him, because we're going to use the same actions anyways. And he can just do that. Now when he's done, we're just going to go over here and come back, and in here he can just use a next frame. A mex frame, not next frame, and a mex. Next frame. Finish. Okay. So, and the reason for that is we want to set int value start to 0. Stick it there. Set int value up here. We might be able to get away with using that one, I guess. So we want to set the start to the index. This guy actually doesn't matter, but if we, I think if we don't have something there, it throws us an error. So we're going to start there. And then he will. Actually, yeah. You know what? I think we can just go back and forth. I don't think we do need this guy. We might get away with that. So this would be our start state. Right, because now what we're saying is, okay, because we could be anywhere. And if we're up in this corner, we don't want to start the patrol and the first thing we're getting is here. Because we're going to walk across the map in some stupid direction, go there and then do our patrol. So we don't want that. That's stupid. So we're going to run through the list, find, okay, where is... out of all these markers that we're going to, where's the closest one? So let's just start there. Okay, it's right there. Cool. Let's go there. We go there. Now we need to tell the array that that's where we're starting. And that's what this does. That's what this index does. It says, okay, this is our starting point. So we come along here. Now we're going to travel there. We're going to check our distances. Once we've hit that distance, we're going to go down here. And the starting index was that start. We're going to loop and just get that mark and then travel to that guy. We're just going to keep doing that until the array is done. Once the array is done, we come along here, we set the start back to 0 because we don't need it anymore because we should be at the end of the array, and then we're just going to zip through. Alright, so this is patrol. And we're just going to delete that now because we don't fucking need it. And let's hide this one. Actually, no. Let's just change them out. Yeah, that's the beauty part of templates, I suppose. I can just literally swap that over. It has no variables. I mean, again, that could be. I mean, there's a few different ways to do that. And I don't want that to happen right at the start because it's coming from a global object. Global object isn't a global until after the game starts. So in the first frame, it marks itself as a global. So if I try to go over here and grab the information to get the path to begin with, that can't happen because we don't know what the global is yet until the next frame. So we need a mix frame. So there's next frame. And that will solve that entire issue. So we should choose, and of course he's like almost right in the middle, so I don't even know which one he's going to go with. So he is going to patrol. And let's see what he's doing. And we have that marked as every frame, so that's not going to do anything. Lord, 100 Jesus. So let's go into here and fix that little itty bitty boo boo. There. And now that should work fine. There we go. So now he's should be on a patrol state. Right, and if we open that up, we can watch that go. So we have a wander state. We could use a wander state, right? Depending on your AI, right? I mean, if it's maybe a zombie, you'd have a really slow going wander state. If it's an animal, you'd probably have a wander state. You want to do guards or something like that, you'd probably do patrol state. But you also could mix in some wander states too. Oh, he's seen us, so we're just going to go over here. He wasn't too sure about that. There we go. So now we have this patrolling AI that we can hide from. And if I pop out, he's like, what the hell? You little saucy bastard, I'll kill you. And I'm like, no, I'm going to go hide in the yellow box. And he's like, what the hell? What yellow box is this? I'm like, yeah, screw it. I'm just going to go. No, you're not standing by the wall. Go figure. Yeah, well, screw it. He's gone, apparently. He went to the yellow box and disappeared. I'll go back to my patrol. Right, so now we have this AI doing stuff. So that's beauty. Now, there's some more we can do with AI attacking and stuff like that, and we can probably look into that a little later on. But this here now is ultimately the main portion of our actions. There are some other actions that need to come in, but they can't come in until later because we'd have no way to activate them. But ideally, if we're in this state here, our idle state, what is idle? It's kind of like now, in the ways of the AI, a freedom of thought for him, that he can do whatever he wants to do. So from there, like say in the next video, we can look at saying, okay, Mr. AI, you have to worry about doing your patrol. You need to sleep and go search or inspect certain things. And we can build a little bit of a utility AI system that will direct a state that kind of governs numerous of these kind of states here that will all function in the same aspect. And that's when we'll bring in enumerators and stuff like that, so we can swap these very easily. It sounds far more complex than it really is, even though the utility AI part can get complex, but a nice dynamic system where we can turn around and be like, oh, okay, well, he's hungry, let's go do this. And if we want to push the utility AI to be a little farther than just super basic, then just that portion could end up taking a couple videos, because it can get pretty crazy. But there is some more work on our AI. Catch you later.